Hi everyone. Today in this video I'd like to move back to the harmonic concept of things, but in this video it's going to be less about improvisation but more about different ways to go between different chords, because there's a multitude of different ways. I'd like to start off by saying that not all music, or not all jazz music rather, is connected by 2-5-1s. Barry Harris likes to reiterate that there's so many writers and composers that try to write for jazz where everything's just 2-5, 2-5, 2-5, 2-5, and all these things. But if we look at tunes from the standard repertoire, or what we call jazz standards from the Great American Songbook, we can see in the harmony that composers, even back then, like Gershwin and Fats Waller and other people like that, they knew about how the music was so much more than just 2-5. And today specifically I'd like to talk about the importance of knowing about diminished chords that take you to the minor 2 chord and how they can move you elsewhere. So I'd like to use the blues for a second to talk about this, and in some of his master classes Barry Harris likes to talk about this as well. If we take a B-flat blues, for instance, I'm just going to run through the form a little bit, and I'm going to stop at the point for what I'm talking about. Right here, if you recognize, or if you remember rather, the scale outline that I used in order to aid improvisation for the blues, it's at that point where you're doing at that point. Now, in that scale outline, by doing that B flat major up and down and landing on B natural, what that's implying is the fully diminished 7th chord a half step below the 2 chord. So what do I mean by that? If we're playing blues in the key of B flat, the minor 7th chord built on the 2nd scale degree is C minor 7. That C minor triad with that flat 7, and that's the 2 chord that makes up the 2-5-1 in that key. But in the scale outline that I showed all of you, it's outlining the chord change of B flat major going to G7. Now, if you watch one of the earliest videos where I talk about how 4 dominants come from a fully diminished 7th chord, G7 ultimately comes from B fully diminished. Because all you have to do is lower 1 note a half step from a fully diminished 7th chord, and it becomes the root of a dominant. So from B fully diminished 7, if I lower that A flat to a G, there's your G7. Now, what this shows is that the diminished chord, the fully diminished 7th chord, a half step below the 2 chord of the key you're playing in, that diminished can take you to the 2 chord. It takes you to that C minor 7. And that's the one that people know the most about. Barry likes to explain this by saying we gotta watch out for bass players, because they always say at that point in the blues, they always go, you know, to outline that, or they play something like that. And that's showing that they know about the diminished that is a half step below the 2 chord. But there's another diminished tune The Song Is You for a second. If we're playing The Song Is You in B flat, the first chord change is D minor 7 in the key of B flat. That's the first chord change. And then the second chord is C sharp fully diminished. And then that goes to the C minor 7 in the key of B flat. So the diminished, that's a half step above that minor 2 chord, is just as important as the one below it. And the reason is because that diminished can take you to the minor 7th chord. So if I continue playing through the melody of The Song Is You, go into that C minor 7, there's your 2 to 5, then it goes to B flat major, and then here it uses that diminished a half step below the 2. So here's the B fully diminished. And that takes you also back to the C minor 7. So that's showing you that the diminished a half step below the 2 can take you to the 2. And the diminished a half step above the 2 chord can also take you to the minor 2 chord. Because that's how it is in The Song Is You. Let's take another tune in the key of B flat. Let's take Blue Monk for a second. Right here in the melody. If you play that in thirds, that outlines how Monk knew that that diminished takes you back, or excuse me, that the diminished a half step above the 2 can take you to the 2. There's the diminished, the C sharp diminished, going to that minor 2. So that's just another way to look at it. It's that diminished, again, a half step above the 2 that takes you to the 2. So know that the diminished a half step above the 2 is just as important as the one below the 2, because they both take you to the minor 2 chord. But if you noticed on that Blue Monk melody, that same diminished can do one more thing other than take you to the minor 2 chord. It can also take you back to the 1 chord. So if you look at the beginning of Blue Monk, like that, so let's define that harmonically. That's B flat major, C minor 7, C sharp diminished, and then B flat major in an inversion. So what does that mean? That means that that C sharp diminished, or that diminished a half step above the 2, can not only take us to the 2 chord, but it can also take us back to the 1 chord. Same thing in E flat major, you know. There's our minor 2 chord. There's the diminished, a half step above the 2. And then there's E flat major in inversion. So that's showing you a little bit about the importance of knowing about diminished chords, because they make the music so much more than just 2 to 5. You know, what if we take this to the context of rhythm changes for a second? People will say it's B flat major, D minor 7, C minor 7, F7, B flat. But if we know about diminishes, you can turn something into this, where it becomes B the fully diminished chord a half step below the 2 and above the 2. And just to review, the diminished below the 2 can take you to the minor 2 chord, and the diminished a half step above the 2 can take you to the minor 2 chord. But the diminished a half step above the 2 can also take you back to the 1. So I hope that information helps your improvising and also your chording when you're trying to accompany other musicians and vocalists. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.